Hello there and welcome. My name is Liesel Teversham and I'm from savvyselfgrowth.com. I'd love to introduce you today to my friend and colleague, Maria Arredondo, and we're going to have a really important discussion and conversation about being authentic in business. I'm going to share a little bit about Maria and then I'm going to welcome her. So Maria is a coach who specializes in helping people connect with their authenticity. She works with passion and purpose-driven business owners who want to find a better way to connect with their ideal audience with integrity and authenticity. She guides them on the path to discover their voice, their uniqueness, and their soul, so that they can recalibrate their marketing from the inside out and find greater alignment. One of the ways she does this work is through archetypes as a way to make the unconscious conscious and therefore make it easier for her clients to see what makes them unique and how to leverage it consistently in their marketing and business. And on a personal note, I've personally benefited from Maria's work with the archetypes, and I'm really excited to introduce you to her today. So welcome, Maria. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Liesel. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Awesome. So I'm going to dive right into our questions. And the first one I want to ask is, what do you mean by authenticity? It's a big word, and I hear it a lot recently these days, especially in relationship to business. So that we all can be on the same page. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by being authentic and in integrity?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So being authentic is not something that I have invented. It's actually something that's very present, as you say, in the, not just in the online space, but probably around in our society these days. And what it means to me is really being you. And this may not mean much for most people or for a bunch of people, but being you, being oneself seems to be very obvious, and yet it's not that obvious at all. So one of the things that I notice with my clients is that they are them, right? There's no way you can be you can be somebody else, right? Which is already not tricky.
You can try.
Right? But then it's like this longing to really be able to fully be you. And then I'll get into this part in a moment also, like how easy and how difficult at the same time it is to be truly you.
Yeah, that's great. So what I'm hearing from you is it's about being you and finding ways to make that easier, because I'm guessing from the fact that there is a yearning to be you that it's not that easy for everybody. So why is it hard for some of us? And I include myself in that, because for the longest time, I was comparing myself to other colleagues in my field, and I was trying to be like them. Yes. And it just led to so much anxiety. So
yes.
I'd love to hear what you have to say about why is it hard for us.
Yeah, so here's at least my understanding of things. And I know this is supported by different psychology paths as well, or spiritual paths even. And one of the reasons it's so hard to be authentic is because when we're born, the minute we're born, then our parents, society start to teach us things, or start to expect things from us. So as babies, and then as we grow up, we find ways to adapt to our environment. And very often we try to be the best we can in that environment. And sometimes we need to do something to please our parents, or we need to do something to be loved, or to overcome some kind of obstacle or fear or situation in our young age. And that already starts to shape our character, our personality. And all of that, the more we grow, the more we are taken away from our first essence, the essence we were born when we were babies, really. So this is called conditioning. So all the ways that we adapt to our environment. And at some point in life, I really believe, and I really also witness how people just notice, like, there's something not quite right here. People go through some crisis, like maybe a big breakup, a divorce, maybe they lose everything. I was just with someone yesterday who had lost absolutely everything through the crisis, like the house, the wife, everything. He just had to go to a place where him were given shelter. And, sometimes it takes really that huge of an event to say like, wow, I really, the things that I was driven by were not really working for me. Or now I notice that the house and the cars and were not really, and the success was not really fulfilling. And when something happens, then people start to pay attention. Like, then if that's superficial, if this doesn't really fulfill me, then what is there left? And that's when I noticed, and this happened for me too, like not in such a huge scale, but I got laid off. I went through a huge breakup as well. And then I started to really ask myself, like, what is it then? Like, what's underneath all of this? And that's when I think when people start to connect with a more spiritual path, that gets them closer to who they were when they were born, or closer to this essence. And also people have experiences through which they can feel at their best at times. And they're like peak moments. And like, well, why is it that I don't feel like this all the time? So some people can start to connect back with their essence through these peak experiences. Like, oh, this is, okay, so why is it not present now? Well, because of this and because of that, because I'm trying to please this person and that person, for example.
Wow. So what I'm hearing you say is it's all about the condition we've had right from the moment we were born, just about. We had to survive in the world. So those strategies that we devised were very clever at the time. But then later on in life, it may be that they no longer serve us and that we can start feeling like something is wrong or off here. This isn't me.
Yes. Exactly. So when people start thinking about, this isn't me, then the great question to ask is like, whose thing is it then? If it's not mine, then you can notice that maybe it's your parents, or maybe it's your society's values or morals or something. And then when you're aware of that, then you can choose more freely, because at least you know. And
I just have a question on that, Maria. So do you find that people find it sometimes hard to do that investigations by themselves? So okay, if this is not me, then whose is it? I mean, it's a kind of a very deep thing to dive into by yourself, because we can't see ourselves in our own mirror. There's no mirror for us. So is that what you find? Like, it is really a bit of a hard thing to try and discover by ourselves.
It is, because just like you can't see a nose in the middle of your face, you need a mirror to see this, then you can't start this on your own. Like maybe, something needs to serve as this mirror so you can actually start to see your nose. And then you can do this work on your own to some extent, and it's hard to do it on your own because again, the way you function is mostly automated. Like it's something that is part of you, that's part of your personality, your character, and that's what makes it difficult to see, because you're just used to it.
Yes, exactly. That's another sort of thought that came to me. I've had this conversation with, I think it was my husband maybe recently, like how hard it is for us to see something when it just feels normal to us. When it feels normal, there's nothing to see.
Right.
So we can't see the patterns. We can't see the angle that we're coming from, because it's just like normal. So it doesn't look like something that needs to be changed, or that will be helpful to change.
Yes. And I think there not everything needs to be changed. When there's a lot of people talking about, you need to break with your patterns and your beliefs and stuff, and we also really need to acknowledge that these patterns and beliefs have brought us here. So there's a light and the shadow, and the shadow is the part that doesn't work for you specifically. It doesn't mean that we have to throw the baby with the bathwater, and that we need to just scratch, just eliminate everything and start from scratch. It just means like, well, what is not working for you? And then let's look at that.
Yeah.
And that will also guide people towards greater authenticity, because that will bring self-awareness, more choice, healing in many cases, so they can actually expand the range through which they can live, really.
Okay, I love that. So what I'm getting from you then is healing and expanding the range of options and choices can only start happening when we find that there is a problem.
Right, yes.
Maybe not only, but that's often where we start. There's a problem here. I need to do something with it.
Yes.
It's hurting somewhere in my life.
Yes, yes.
And then we can go on this journey.
Yes. When you stumble upon the same stone, you may not care. But when it starts to hurt, then it's like, why do I keep stumbling upon this stone?
Yes.
And like, how can I just not stumble upon this stone anymore?
Right, right. Instead of making it the stone's fault for being lying on the road,
Right.
it's like, what can I do to avoid
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Yes.
And the stone is there. So there's, I always also like to talk about, there's my share of responsibility and your share of responsibility. But what can I control? What's the part that I am responsible for?
Yes, that's a very good point. Also in line with authenticity is I mustn't say we, I want to say some of us, and I can speak for myself here, want to take almost too much responsibility. And in doing that, it's also part of not living our own life, not being in integrity here in my life, this part that I do have control over.
Yes.
Like wanting other people to be different or thinking that they should be this way, then I'll be happy.
Yes.
All of that part of authenticity in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, by doing that, so what you're talking about is also a pattern, like really wanting to be generous and wanting to be in service of others. And the shadow side of this is that you forget yourself.
Yes. Yes, yes. And who is there then
Right.
to run that person's life?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So
it's also developing this discernment, like when does it become too much? After which point is it turning against me?
right. Yes, I love that. So it's very much a deep process of awareness, right?
It is. That's where it starts. Yes.
Yes. Anything else you'd like to add about the conditioning and
Yes.
those things? Yeah.
Yeah, there's something specifically about business. Like, why is it starting to be so present in the business and marketing space? Why are so many people wanting to be more authentic in marketing or in business? I think this comes after so many decades of manipulative business and marketing practices that people are just tired. People like you and I, small businesses who really care about their clients, about the work that they're doing. They just don't want, I don't want to be practicing the things that most corporations are doing out there. I don't want that. And it would probably not probably, it wouldn't work for me. So it's like, well, if that's not working, and that's what's being taught in MBAs, most of them, or business schools, or whatever, marketing, I don't know, teacher or guru would say, then it's like, well, what else then? What's a better way, better for us, right? Not that it's better for everybody, but like the people who are looking for more authenticity and integrity in their business, they want something that will work for them and their clients. Which means moving away from manipulative tactics or strategies and really being in service at the core. Not just making money, which many corporations do. It's like, how can we keep making more money and more money and sell more and more? Here is like, well, how can I be of service? And how can I market from this place?
Right. That's a beautiful, it's a very, very different place to come from. Yes.
It is, yes. And then because we've never been taught this, then it's like, how do I do this? Like, what is authentic marketing for me? And then all the fears show up because we've never been taught this. And it's like, oh, but people are going to see that I'm this or that, and it's like, and I don't know how to use me as my marketing tool, so there's a lot of um, education in a way, or a lot of awareness to be developed, so that you can really create something that will feel right.
Right. I love that. So what I'm hearing, because that's an area I work with a lot as well, is the fears that come up when we start going on in a different direction. So I hear that comes up for you and for your clients a lot as
Yes.
well. It's like, but if I don't do it that way, the original, not the original, the sort of traditional way that things have always been taught, this is marketing, you do it this way. If I
Yes.
don't follow that norm,
Yes.
um, what's going to happen
Absolutely.
to my business? Will it even work?
Yeah. Yeah, because we're really touching pillars that are very fundamental, like belonging. Like if you don't do like everybody else is doing, then you don't belong anymore.
Yes.
And this is very core to humans. Like we need to belong, we need to be loved. So one of the things that happens is like when one starts on this path of trailing their own path, then it's like you're suddenly not with everyone anymore, and you may be on your own. So that's scary. That's really scary.
Right.
And that's one of the things, right, that happens when you start this process of more authenticity, more individuation as well, like really getting to know yourself
Right, doing
fully.
it uniquely your way.
Yeah.
So I hear there's actually sort of almost a two-way thing here. There's getting to know yourself more fully, and then there is what practices can I use to help me shine in that way so that people can find me. So it's almost like well, there may be more prongs that I haven't even thought of, but that's almost like the deeper part is who am I then, and
Mm-hmm.
what do I bring uniquely me, and how
Mm-hmm.
can I put that into practice in a way that people can find me and the work
Yes.
that I want to serve them with.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
One question, Maria, that I just had is so that perhaps a listener that may not be sure. So, what do we mean by manipulative marketing as opposed to authentic marketing?
Mm.
Is there an example that pops up for you, and sort of an easy one that comes to mind? What is manipulative marketing? What do we feel when we see
Mm.
it? What is a practical example? How might it come across?
Mm. I'm thinking of things that happen here in Spain. For example, the telecommunications companies would call you, like, like, oh, we have this offer, and would you like to sign up? And if you say no, it's like, oh, but why not? And like you should be signing up because we have the best price, or it's going to, you have 15 days to sign up. Otherwise, you're going to pay full price, and there's a lot of scarcity involved as well. So maybe not in this example, but the one thing that would be inauthentic would be to try to force someone to buy something that they don't need.
Right.
Like, I don't need to change my phone company, but I will, they will keep insisting.
Right.
I don't need it. I just said no. But it's like, trying to force something.
Right.
And make you believe that you need something when you don't. And trying to make you believe also that if you don't buy something, then you're not good enough, or you're not going to be part of the cool gang, or or so there's a lot of psychological tactics here going on that most people are not aware of, just which is normal. But there's a lot of so they're really putting their service or product not so much in your interest, like, oh, okay, well, you need this, so here it is. It's like, we want to sell, so you better want it.
Right. So it's very much from their point of view. It's about their numbers, what they need to fulfill, goals for the month, sales numbers, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And forcing a person who really doesn't care, doesn't need it, doesn't want it, hasn't even asked for it,
Mm-hmm.
and using ways to make them feel bad about
Yes.
saying no.
Yeah. So this is a simplistic way to give an example, right? But this is present in
Yes.
some areas of marketing, definitely.
Yes, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it is something that I know. I've lived in South Africa, here in England. It's all over. I think it's universal, kind of an international way that has been used even in emails that come, quickly sign up now or you will lose out. That
Yes.
kind of thing, like the pressure
Yeah.
is on, and creating the fear of missing out.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yes, and look at all the people who have achieved great things by buying this product. And then if you don't buy it, then of course you're a loser. Right? Because you're not going to get that. So it's like, who wants to be a loser?
Exactly. I love that. You're going to be a loser. Yes. So that's exactly what authentic marketing would be the opposite of, is not trying to make people believe that they're horrible losers. So I'm wondering, how would people start going on a journey to become more authentic, or towards greater authenticity in their marketing, their lives?
Yeah, great question. I would say the first thing is that they need to want something else.
Okay.
They need to want something else, and really then start to pay attention. Like, start to pay attention to what we've been discussing at the beginning of our conversation today. Like, okay, so what's not working for me, and what would I like instead? So if I don't want to be forcing people to sell something, to buy something, then what do I want? And then, so it's really also starting this process of self-awareness. Like, what are the practices, or what are the beliefs, or what are the patterns that are part of me, that are not working for me? So that would be the first step, like really becoming aware, like self-aware. And then it's a process of going inward. Like, it's really this process of understanding yourself. And then, as I said at the beginning, like really taking action again. Like, now I have a choice. I can do the old way or the new way. What do I choose? And how can I keep building this new path? And what are the, so it starts from within. So it's really the self, the being, and then the action will be something new or different, because the person is being different. And this will result in transformation.
Okay, that makes sense. So first, awareness. I need to be aware that something isn't working for me. Otherwise, no change can happen. Can't choose anything different.
Right.
Then taking different actions, like in every moment or at every fork, we have a choice. Am I going to do the old way or the new way? And now what comes up for me is, so sometimes we sit like, okay, I'm going to try the new way. I may not know another way. Or the fear that jumps up that says, no, I can't try that. I'm going to be, like you spoke about earlier, left out of the community. If we were babies and we were not loved and accepted, we would have died. So that sort of fear is still very much part of our psyche, because it's an instinct, a human instinct. So if that kind of fear, or not, no skill, or lack of knowledge in that area pops up, what would you say needs to happen in that case?
Yeah, something, as you're mentioning this instinct, how it's part of who we are from the very, very beginning. I would say that's how the baby or the young kid would have reacted. Like, that's like, oh, I'm not going to belong. But then the adult part of us knows better. We know,
right.
Or, it's, again, this is the part that's more difficult to achieve on your own, but it's possible, to really connect with the adult part, the responsible part, the part that's wise, to really look at the situation and see, well, is there such a risk? Is it really such a big risk?
Right.
And because maybe on this path, maybe you find other people.
Right.
It's true, you will probably not belong to this part anymore. And what you're not saying is that maybe there is something else.
Right.
And
There's
the adult
different
part,
community.
yeah, and the adult part can see this.
Right. Okay. I love that, because the fears are from the subconscious mind that was formed when we were small, and there were experiences there that taught us it's not okay to do things differently.
Yeah.
But there's now the adult part that are formed in the meantime that can talk to us with more wisdom.
Yes.
Okay. I love that. I love that. And so we briefly mentioned in the introduction about you that you do part of your work with archetypes to help your clients to find what is inside them. How are they unique, and what they can do in their own businesses with that uniqueness.
Mhm.
Do you want to say a few words about how you use archetypes? Because several of our listeners may have different ideas of archetypes. You know, there's if you're talking about Carl Jung, he used archetypes. There's different systems of archetypes. So how do you use this, and how does it work?
Yeah. So archetypes, what I love about archetypes is that they're a set of qualities and characteristics that everybody will understand because they're part of the wider consciousness. Like they've been part of tales and myths through our whole history. And it's really something that even though you may have never worked with Jungian archetypes, it will sound familiar because everybody knows there's a hero in a story, or there's a princess somewhere, or a wolf or something. So everybody is acquainted with archetypes in some way, even though they may not even know it's called archetypes. So it's really this set of characteristics and qualities that are universally understandable or understood. Then Carl Jung was the one who brought archetypes into psychology, or into modern psychology. So he did this work, and then more people have widened this work and even have started introducing these in business, like I do. And again, back to the very beginning, archetypes are a way. So one of what we do at the beginning is to go through an assessment, and the assessment will teach people, or will reveal people what their two primary archetypes are. And this again helps people see themselves, like who they truly are, and to make this unconscious conscious.
Right.
One of the things I get very often in my sessions with my clients is like, oh, this is not really new. And yet there's this huge sense of relief to be able to see themselves so clearly. Yes. And it's very validating for people. It's like, oh, of course. It gives shape to something that they know, and it felt elusive before.
Yes, I love that. It gives a shape. It gives a common language. You can see it. It's not so nebulous.
Exactly.
Because there may be bits and pieces about it that you haven't put together in one whole.
Yes. And then being able to see it this way enables the person to also use so it helps the person see what makes them unique. And like when someone tells you, okay, here's the mirror, look at yourself. It's like, oh, okay, well, I see I have blue eyes, and my nose is this size and or this shape, and then my lips and so. It's like, oh, okay, so well, now I know what I look like.
Right.
Then people can use it intentionally and in a structured way because they know what makes them them. Like I know what makes me, this is one way. There's many different typing or archetypal systems, but this is the one I work with. And then it's like, oh, okay, now I know how I can use this also, like how I can use this intentionally in a structured way to engage with the people who will connect with me the most. And it also helps them understand what people will value from them.
Right.
Because each of us is loved and liked for a reason, but we mostly don't know. So when you know, it's like, oh, okay, so this is why. Then you can also talk to more, so you know what you can really build on or build upon. So more people really get to connect with your essence and not your shadows. This part that doesn't belong to you.
Right. The part of you that comes naturally, easily, without any effort. It just, that's who you are. If you don't have to think about getting anybody's approval.
Exactly.
That's the part that you can then show more intentionally.
Yes.
I love that. And then when I did the work with you, one of the things that stood out for me, Maria, was that there were some very helpful phrases or words in each of those archetypes. So that's a very specific thing about this work that was very helpful for me. It's like, oh, when people who love my type of energy come to my website, what they would really resonate with is if I use these type of phrases or words in my copy, so it can help us write copy our sales pages or our blog posts or the things that would really speak to the people who need me, my unique energy.
Yes, yes. This is something I always mention as a to frame this work. It's like branding, specifically when we talk about archetypes and brand. Like branding is the creation of an experience. Like really, when people enter your house, it will have a feeling, or it will have a feel and and it will be different when they come to my home. It will have a completely different vibe. It's like, oh, this is Liesel, this is so you, like this is your house. And these are the elements that we get to understand through this process. And words are the way to really materialize this house or this universe or this experience that you want to create. Like it gives you really tangible elements to which you can hold on to when you want to create copy. And creating copy sounds like very technical, but it really is communicating with people in a consistent way.
Yes, I love that. It's a consistent message, whether they go to this page, that page, your about page, your blog, your whatever. There's this consistent look and feel, and it's like walking into the house, and every room may have a slightly different color or something, but the overall feel in the whole house is the same.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then the great thing about this also is that it will put some people off. They're like, oh, no, I don't want to enter this house. And it's like, great, because we're not going to have fun together. So the sooner you know this, the better. It really attracts the right people also to you.
Yes, I think that's a very important point. It's not, we don't want everybody in our house either.
No, we don't.
So it sort of works both ways, and the language and the sort of look and feel flavor that we create there is part of the filter that helps us to find each other.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Some people will love my house, and some people will think like, oh, really? So it's like, yeah, well, I just want the people who feel at ease to work with me. I really don't want to work with everybody.
Exactly. Yes. And then again, back to authenticity, because if you don't like me for who I am right now, we won't have fun together, like you said.
Absolutely.
I love that. Is there anything else, Maria, that you'd like to add? Something that we haven't touched on that's come to mind?
I've really enjoyed this conversation. I think I have, I could talk about this for hours, but I think we've covered a lot of important things already. So.
Oh, that's really awesome, and we can continue the conversation, and I really hope that people will look you up and find your beautiful work. So let's give them a place, the easiest place where they can find you and this work that you helped them with.
So I think the easiest way to find me is on my website, which is www.pivotmundi.com, and that's really, I blog more consistently than before, and I also people can also sign up for my insider's note there, because there's a lot of things I share only with the people who sign up for my newsletter. Because one of the things that belongs to me, also to my archetype, is sharing intimate things and creating a space of intimacy and belonging. So I don't share everything on my blog. It feels too public. So if people are curious, there's also a tab there where they can sign up and get my more intimate insights.
I love that. Okay, so there's various ways of connecting with Maria, and one of the ways is the more intimate way on her regular writings and sharing insights with her subscribers. Yes. That's beautiful. So I'll just put wherever we share this interview, Maria, we will spell it out, pivotmundi.com, and so that people can just find an easy way to click on the link. So this was really a fantastic conversation, very, very helpful, so insightful, enlightening. And thank you so much for sharing this time with me and sharing your skills, your experience. I can hear this has come from long years of experience in working with people. So thank you so much, Maria. It was just a pleasure.
Thank you for the invitation. I've really enjoyed sharing this with you.
Thank you.